بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Question says, ما معنى تربت يداك? What is the meaning of the statement? What does it mean when we hear, may your hands become dusty? Making dua for someone's hand to have dust or dirt on it. I.e., in other words, the statement of the Prophet ﷺ and the narration of Abu Hurairah is collected in the Sahih. He said, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ. He says that a woman can be married for 4 reasons. A woman can be married for 4 reasons. And the Prophet ﷺ, we know that he mentioned from those 4 reasons, her beauty, her wealth, her status, and last but not least, her deen. He then said, فَظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ. He says, hopefully you'll find a woman whose strongest characteristic is the religion. A religious woman, may your hands become dusty. If you find a good religious woman, then may your hands become dusty. Hadith states that the Prophet ﷺ said, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ. يعني 4 خصال. 1 of 4 reasons or 4 reasons, but in most cases 1 of 4 reasons. And hadith means is that the thing which is her distinguishing feature, her strong feature. Because you can marry a woman who is wealthy and she's religious. She could be beautiful and religious. She could be beautiful, wealthy, religious, and be highborn. In most cases, if she's wealthy, then she comes from a very good background. But he's talking about the distinguishing feature, the thing in which you had to pick one thing that determines her strong point. Now, like an athlete playing basketball, he can shoot, he can dribble, he can play defense, he can do this and he can do that. But he's known, famous for shooting 3-pointers. That's his what? Distinguishing feature. If you had to pick one from among what? The others. His strong point is to what? It's to shoot the ball. But it doesn't mean that he's weak in what? Other things are totally lacking. So if it came down to a man marrying a woman for one of those 4 reasons, the Prophet ﷺ says, فَظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ. He says, marry a good woman. May you have Allah's barakah, good fortune. With a woman who's religious, تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكِ. May your hands be dusty. Another version of the hadith says, تَرِبَتْ يَمِينُكِ. May your right hand be dusty. What does this mean? May your right hand be dusty. The answer says, هي كناية عن الفقر. أي لصقت يداك بالتراب. He says that this is a statement that they used to make, meaning metaphorically for someone to be poor, for someone to experience poverty, to be poor. وقد كانت دعاء على الشخص بالفقر فقد صارت كلمة عادية مثل قاتله الله أو كانت دعوة وصارت كلمة عادية. He says the word was originally used making dua against someone, meaning the ancient Arabic language, the Arabs before Islam. They would say it, they would pray against someone. May you be poor. May your hand become dusty, or may your hands become dirty. Or one narration you may read, it says, كَذَبَ عَدُوُ اللَّهِ. One companion said about someone, the enemy of Allah has lied. And he doesn't mean that he's the enemy of Allah. Or قَاتَلَهُ اللَّهِ. May Allah curse him. Doesn't always necessarily mean the literal meaning. It's a statement that they used to make, but through the advent of Islam and the epic of Islam, it became a normal everyday statement. It became a normal everyday statement that didn't have a meaning behind it. That didn't have a what? A meaning behind it. Okay, now this is one interpretation here, mentioned here by the Shaykh Rahimahullah. Others, they say that this hadith means is that the Arabs, they use this statement, may your hand be dusty, or may your right hands be dusty, to mean the original concept of poverty, but meaning barakah. Meaning that if you have a religious girl, then you're a quote-unquote a lucky man. You've been blessed by Allah. You're fortunate to have a woman whose strongest feature isn't her beauty, whose strongest feature isn't her wealth, whose strongest feature isn't her lineage, whose strongest feature isn't this and that, but her strongest feature is the deen. And in most cases, when you compare things, money and religion, There are people that are religious that are wealthy, alhamdulillah. There are people that are wealthy and religious. It exists. But to have someone who's wealthy, who's religious, who's knowledgeable, who's active, so on and so forth, it's a very rare thing. And in most cases, you're going to find them going in one of the other two directions, as Ibn Qayyim has explained. Because seeking knowledge with a strong appetite doesn't allow you to seek the dunya with a strong appetite. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe. A tit and a tat of that, maybe. But strong ilm and strong wealth, success, business, prosperity, they're total opposites. And the same applies to beauty as well. And what happens, many people who think that they're beautiful, men or women, but it's talking about women, they think that they're beautiful, they think they're attractive and cute. How many of them want to cover up? How many of them want to dress modestly? How many of them want to hide their beauty? They say, our culture is if you got it, do what? Flaunt it. That's the culture. And the only reason why you're wearing hijab is because you don't look that good. You're not that pretty. Your hair isn't nice. Your body isn't nice. That's why you have on those clothes. But if you were beautiful like me, you wouldn't be afraid to show yourself. So this is the reality of life. This is the what? The reality of life. A religious woman who's beautiful, but someone who has a high standard of beauty, in most cases, is not going to be what? The most religious in most cases. And if she is going to be religious, then it's going to be this issue or that issue. So the Prophet ﷺ, he says, if you had to pick one out of these four, then let it be what? The deen. فَضْفَرْ بِذَاتِ دِينٍ تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكَ. Which basically means, the equivalent of that statement in our language, not the meaning, but the equivalent is good luck. Meaning, if you have a religious woman, you're a lucky man. You have dust on your hands. Everybody understand this? Now, obviously, the word luck and what it means and how it's used is a deep discussion. Certain concepts of luck are totally un-Islamic. Totally un-Islamic. And there are other usages or understandings of the word luck which are totally Islamic. Meaning barakah. You say, you're lucky. Meaning Allah blessed you, Allah protected you, Allah saved you. I was lucky to get out of that situation. I was fortunate. And many people, hypocritically, they say you can't say luck, but you say fortunate. Fortunate and luck are what? Synonyms. And if it's a misunderstanding of fortune, it can also be a misunderstanding of luck. A proper usage of the term luck could also be a proper usage of the term fortune. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this or not? And there's no denial that there are certain people who have barakah with them. He's blessed in this, he's blessed in that, he's blessed in many, many things. And there are others who may have tests and trials and tribulations in many aspects of their life. In many what? Many aspects of their life. Or there's certain brothers just always have a great amount of negativity with them. Negativity. They say negative things, they bring negative, they do things, they stick out and say, don't bring him. Because he's, no, they would say what? Say he's unlucky. He's going to be bad luck if you bring him around. Everybody understand this? Now, that's not always Islamic, but there's what? Details. Also, we benefit from this fatwa is that there are certain things that people say that are not necessarily meaningful. And it's not always wrong to make a statement if you don't intend that statement behind it. Everybody clear on this or not? Let's make an example of this. Some brothers, they say, I don't say this, me personally. But some brothers, they may say, geez. And some say, you can't say that because he's merely saying Jesus. Obviously, the brother who's making that statement, he doesn't believe that Jesus is the son of Allah. He doesn't believe that Jesus is Allah. He believes that Jesus is the prophet of Allah. And the shortened, abbreviated word Jesus may come from Jesus, but that's not how he's what? Using it or meaning it. It's a kalima idea, a statement that's upon the tongue. Everybody clear on this? A statement that's on the what? On the tongue, okay? And there are other statements as well you may say. Other things that you may say as well in which there isn't the meaning behind it anymore. There isn't the what? The meaning behind it anymore, okay? I'm going to talk to Talib. You say Abdul Raqib, I say good luck. Meaning I tried to talk to him already. He didn't want to listen to me. Good luck. In other words, maybe you'll what? You have a better chance at talking to him. It doesn't mean that I mean that just because you have a rabbit foot or this thing or that color or this day or time that you're going to get to him. Everybody clear this or not? Certain statements that they used to make in which they don't intend the meaning behind them. And there are many hadiths like this. Thakilatka ummuk. May your mother be rid of you. How can you make dua against someone like that? May you die, basically. May your mother be free of you. And that's not what the Prophet ﷺ meant. That's not what he what? That's not what he meant. Now, obviously, one will say, no, you can't say Jesus or you can't say good luck. You can't say these things because it has kufr behind them. And these other statements, they have what behind them? As well. So there's no difference between Arabic language, English language, Arabic culture, and what? Arabic learning. So this is one of the major problems with da'wah today. And that Islam looks at the bigger picture of many things. And there are other times in which it's the exact opposite ruling, in which you can't say it. It's haram to say, even if that's not your intention. The man said to the Prophet ﷺ, "Ma sha'Allahu wa shi'ta." He says, what Allah had willed and what you had willed. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Aj'altani lillahi niddan, qul ma sha'Allahu." He says, have you made me a partner with Allah? Say what Allah had willed, nothing else. And what the man had said was right. Because Allah had willed it, and obviously, if Allah willed it, then He allowed the Prophet to do it. It was a correct statement. But it was a statement that didn't give Allah the necessary respect. What Allah had willed. Then, what Fulan willed. I ask you, he says, I ask Allah, then I ask you. And that word then is a big difference between and. Even though it's the same thing. If I stand up and I ask everyone for sadaqah. Brothers, I ask Allah to give me sadaqah and I ask you. I ask Allah to give me sadaqah, then I ask you. The only difference is in the wording, the respect in the wording. But in reality, I'm asking Allah and I'm also asking you. Everybody understand this? But to give Allah the utmost respect and when you're speaking about Him. Everybody understand this? But that's a difference. We're not talking about a conversation or dua. We're talking about two human beings talking to each other. Everybody clear on this? So this is a very important aspect with regards to the do's and the don'ts of things that you say. What's important is, this pertains to marriage and the importance of marrying a woman who's religious and pious. And it doesn't mean that just because she's religious, she can't have nothing else from the world. You can't marry her because she's beautiful. It doesn't mean that. But it means if you had to bit one thing out of four, make it the deen. And if you have to compromise and sacrifice, make it the what? Deen. Make it the deen. But it doesn't matter that it doesn't mean you should marry a woman that you're not attracted to. It doesn't mean that you should marry a man that you're not attracted to. Marry someone that you're attracted to as well, which will protect you from looking at things that you shouldn't be looking at, or thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about, or doing things that you shouldn't necessarily what? Be doing. So there's a balance. There's a balance when it comes to looking for a spouse. There's a balance. Just because she's religious doesn't mean that she's someone that you can't look at. But don't make her beauty the thing which blinds you from her bad character. Don't allow her beauty to blind you from her poor knowledge of the deen, her poor practice of the deen. Don't allow her family status to what? Blind you from her shortcomings. And this is a very important concept when it comes to looking for a spouse, or for having a spouse look for you. Brothers, they say, I want to get married. I need to get married. Oftentimes you shouldn't look. You do the right thing. You practice the deen. And the wife, the family will eventually what? Find you. Bidnai subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was we explained in the conference on getting married. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should know best. This fatwa was given by Qadi Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Umrani rahimahullah ta'ala. Brothers, have any questions? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.